Welcome to Books Without Borders. Today we're going to be talking about the book Status Anxiety by Alain de Botton. Are you worried about how well you are doing? Are you jealous of your friends' successes? Do you suffer from status anxiety? If any of these apply to you, you should definitely pick up this book. Status anxiety is essential reading for anyone who has ever gotten a sleepless night because of unreturned phone calls or the neighbour's Porsche. The author of the book examines our civilization and its discontents through the lens of the insatiable quest for status. Rather than being about material comfort, this quest is about love. From St. Augustine to Andrew Carnegie, Machiavelli to Anthony Robbins, de Botton uses Western history and thought to support his thesis. It's impossible not to be entertained by status anxiety, whether it's examining the class consciousness of Christianity or viewing the convulsions of consumer capitalism, or even mere home decor. The author of the book is wise as well as helpful when he discusses the virtues of informed misanthropy, art appreciation, or even walking a lobster on a leash. The author identifies 5 causes for status anxiety, mainly lovelessness, snobbery, expectation, meritocracy, and dependence. Firstly, number 1, we want to be loved. The author writes, "To be shown love is to feel ourselves the object of concern. Our presence is noted, our views listened to, our failings treated with indulgence, and our needs ministered to. We are anxious about our position in the world since our sense of identity is shaped by the judgments of those around us. Today there is a genuine fear that if we're not good enough, we will not be loved. For human nature, to be ignored is the biggest disappointment of all. Number 2, we don't want to be looked down upon by snobs. In a society where snobs define human worth according to social rank, we are especially afraid of not being loved." The author writes, "Belittling others is no pastime for those convinced of their own standing. It takes a punishing impression of our own inferiority to leave others feeling that they aren't good enough for us. History of Luxury is less a tale of greed than it is a record of emotional trauma. People who were scared of being disdained by others, that they felt the need to add extraordinary amounts to themselves in order to signal that they were loved. Number 3, we have high expectations of life. The author contends that while the great consumer revolution improved our quality of life in many ways, it also caused psychological distress as it constantly increased our expectations in 2 areas: material goods and ambition. Ultimately, modern society does an excellent job of keeping a permanent gap between what we want and what we can afford. It is this gap, the feeling that we might be something better, amplified by the superior achievements of those we take to be our equals, that generates anxiety and resentment. Number 4, in meritocracy, our status denotes how good a person we actually are. If you couldn't do well despite having fair and equal opportunities to succeed, then it must mean something is lacking in you. In this belief, the rich were not only wealthier, but also plain better." The author writes, "To the injury of poverty, a meritocratic system now added the insult of shame." And finally, number 5, there are many things outside of our control. Our future really depends on our ability to succeed in an economy that is fast-moving, uncertain, and constantly changing. We are uncertain about our performance because, number 1, talents cannot be summoned at the drop of a hat. Number 2, success is largely determined by luck. Number 3, our position and career advancement is determined by our employer's priorities. How can we overcome these worries then? The author suggests a number of different ways and then goes into extensive detail on how to tackle these concerns. I'm not going to discuss that part as that would be a spoiler for everyone, so if you want to know the answers, pick up a copy of the book. After finishing this book, the first question that came to mind to me was, why do we actually care about our status? And actually, I think the reason we care about our status is pretty simple. Because most people will treat us well according to how much status we actually have. The book traces the origins of status anxiety through philosophers, artists, and writers, before revealing how people have found creative ways to overcome their worries and find happiness. In addition to entertainment, it intends to be insightful and helpful as well. Was I studying hard enough? Was I earning enough? If I wasn't, was I good enough? I was intrigued that the author named the condition status anxiety and hoped to deepen my understanding of it. Perhaps I could understand. I could let go of this constant fear of coming up short. This is an absolutely wonderful, uplifting, and intelligent book. Incredibly sensitive, spot on, articulate, and poetic. I'll be adding this for sure to my list of great reads. Trying to find solutions to what he identifies as status anxiety, which is a complex feeling of inadequacy and insignificance in the face of what others think of us, and modulated by what society values here and now. I think following on from COVID, everyone needs to have a look at this book. Overall, this book was just phenomenal. Duboton really highlights the grey areas in some of the feelings we all get. What's surprising to me is how ignorant people are of these feelings. People insist that they're just trying to be happy. Meanwhile, the opinion of others and their rank in the social status hierarchy keeps them up at night. The book opens your eyes to what's happening around you, which allows the reader to, if only for a moment, step out of the mainstream that carries so many people to their next toy. I really like the style of writing and the way Duboton elegantly challenges many of our irrational beliefs, guiding us through the different contexts, ideas, times, and teaching us the most important lesson, that nothing is permanent and everything is subject to change. I really admired the overall message of this book. Status anxiety comprehensively gathers a history of ideas about why people feel anxious about their social standing, as well as how these anxieties have manifested, how our specific desired qualities, possessions have changed over time, etc. While Duboton admits that there is no cure to caring about what others think of you or to evaluating yourself through your perceptions of others, the latter half of the book is a swath of resonant reflections and commonsensical principles collected from a delightful array of references to philosophers, artists, authors, saints, etc. That reassures the reader, there is more to life than status, and there are many more joyful matters with which we can occupy our minds and our time. It is possible to step away from, if not completely free ourselves from, status anxiety. Alain Duboton does a great job diagnosing the causes for our anxiety. However, his cures leave me a little anxious. I won't go into too many details in case you're wanting to read it. However, one of Duboton's cure suggestions is politics and religions. I feel politics and religion create their own anxieties. In my view, the answer to status anxiety is to change the way you think. It was a real pleasure reading this book. It is phenomenal that Duboton is able to discuss such a complex topic and make it easy to understand. You don't need to be an academic to read this book. A lot of the information is in layman's terms, and it really is for everyone. I love that he incorporates major intellectual thinkers such as Karl Marx, Adam Smith, and William James in a conversational way so even the average person can keep up. He is smart, eloquent, wise, and overall a phenomenal writer. Read this book. If you've liked this review, please visit our channel where you can find other reviews across a number of different titles. Thank you for watching.